All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar entitled Engaging Decision Makers Using Street Story. My name is Jara Crowner, and I'm a policy and program analyst at UC Berkeley SafeTrack, which stands for the Safe Transportation Research and Education Center. SafeTrack's mission is to inform decision-making and empower communities to improve roadway safety for all. We envision a world with zero roadway fatalities or serious injuries and a culture that prioritizes safe mobility. SafeTrack is affiliated with the School of Public Health and the Institute of Transportation Studies at UC Berkeley. Our agenda for today, we have welcoming remarks and housekeeping. The purpose of today's webinar, presentations from community partners, participant questions and discussion, and then we'll wrap up for today. A few housekeeping rules. Please mute your audio or phone when you are not speaking to minimize background noise. Feel free to enter questions or comments in the chat. Please have your camera on when you are speaking if you're comfortable. All slides will be emailed to everyone registered for today's webinar. This webinar is being recorded. And if you think of something later, please reach out and email us at streetstory@berkeley.edu. This is a screenshot of some Zoom logistics. If you need to mute or unmute yourself, start your video. If you want to write something or type something in the chat, or if you want to react to a comment or a question. The purpose of today's webinar is to hear how a couple of our community partners use Street Story to not only engage or encourage community members to share their traffic safety experiences, but how they engage their elected officials, police officers, and planners with the data collected from the platform. Street Story is an online crowdsourcing tool that collects qualitative data about near misses, crashes, hazardous, as well as safe locations to travel within the state of California. The information collected is free and publicly accessible. We have the honor of, we have the privilege and the pleasure to have two of our panelists today, which are Sheila Bongir, who is a regional planner with the Tulare Council of Governments, TCAG, and Dorothy Wong, who is an Altadena Council member, as well as an experienced bicycling and pedestrian safety educator certified by the League of American Bicyclists and a lead instructor working with local advocacy organizations across Southern California. The first panelist we'll hear from today is Sheila Bongir. Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Sheila Bongir. I'm a regional planner with the Tulare County Association of Governments. So today I'm going to talk about how I motivated and encouraged city planners, public school district officials, and elected officials to use Street Story in Tulare County. You can go to the next slide. So Tulare County is it's a region located in between Fresno and the Bakersfield area. State Route 99 runs north-south through the region, connecting the entire Central Valley together. Again, starting from approximately Bakersfield and ending in Sacramento. Next slide. So one of the main reasons I was able to get city planners, school district officials, and even elected officials interested in using the tool was to help shape and develop grant applications. So one of the grant programs I've been insisting with is the Active Transportation Program. They recently wrapped up their Cycle 7 call for projects. And in this grant, the ATP application has around 5 to 7 questions, of which I found that 3 could potentially be answered by just using Street Story. Next slide. Oh, actually, yes. Do you mind going to the next slide after that? Sorry. So some of the questions are actually like question number 2, 3, and 4, and they make up a good portion of the application. So I just wanted to give an idea of the percentages here. So collecting community feedback, I believe, is like paramount to any grant application, and encouraging the community to get involved with projects even before they start is becoming more and more of a requirement from state and federal agencies. So here at TCAG, we really embraced using Street Story as a means to understand the needs and active transportation issues of various communities. And some of the results here are distilled into some important findings from Cutler Rossi, for example, acknowledging that 51% of people would bike and walk more if conditions were safer. And so yeah, just to summarize, like I had very supportive management at TCAG, really coupled with this belief that community engagement is paramount to a successful grant application. So that's how I was able to encourage and motivate city planners, school district officials to really embrace Street Story, which is a free tool. One example of it is with the city of Exeter. Can you move to the next slide? So the city of Exeter runs through SR 65. It's a 2-lane undivided road with high speeds, varying shoulder widths, and deteriorated crosswalks. So with involvement with the Exeter Unified Superintendent, we were able to blast Street Story survey using the Parent Square app to reach hundreds of parents attending their back to school night. We also had a booth set up to collect in-person feedback. And next slide. Some of the comments were very descriptive, and it's a great tool, and we really like how it doesn't have a character limit to really allow people to express themselves, as you can see here. All right, and the next slide is a summary of some of the data types that we got. And the next, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, and this is more of a summary that you might have seen if you've used the tool. So I just wanted to share this. Okay. Okay, so other communities that have also used the Street Story tool include Visalia, Cutler Rossi, Strathmore, and Early Mart. So in the community of Strathmore, an unincorporated area, they received 79 responses. And the next slide shows some of those responses here, which are very interesting to just read to see how they're geolocated. And let's see here. And then the next slide also is interesting. I really like the comment here saying, I have 2 autistic children who are unaware of danger, and when taking them to school, walking is dangerous because of the speed and traffic on Avenue 196. We would benefit if there was a possibility to reduce speed and traffic near our home, and also if there could be signs in our community that there are children with autism in the area. So comments like these were really powerful, and we incorporated them into the grant application that was just applied for. Another community we helped that used the application's Early Mart. So they actually received 247 responses. And the next slide just shows pictures from community members. These include the chief city engineer here on the left, and other staff from Tulare County Resource Management Agency talking about the tool. And the next slide shows comments from it's a small community of Early Mart. You can, I don't know if you can see the screen there, but some of these comments are very powerful. And the next slide also shows more of those comments as well. And the last, okay, yeah, another community we helped out to was Cutler Arosi and they received 41 responses, and very similar type of engagement that was done with bringing the tool out to different fairs. You can see that on the next slide with at the school, at the El Monte school. They also did a walk audit, and which is you can see some pictures from the walk audit on the following slide. And the last community today I wanted to just talk about was the city of Visalia, and they were actually able to use Street Story and bring out their iPads onto the local bus system for a day and talk with people using to actually take surveys right there, meeting the people where they're at. And and then the last slide is just like a compilation of some of the comments that we got. So yeah, to summarize, given like the supportive management I had at TCAG, coupled really with this belief that community engagement is paramount to any successful grant application, I was really able to encourage all of these different communities that we just saw to embrace this tool. And we've had success in the past, and we look forward to hopefully seeing some success in Cycle 7 ATP applications. So thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sheila, so much for that presentation. Before we get to discussion and questions, we'll have Dorothy Wong from the Altadena City Council Town Council to speak with us. Okay, Dorothy, are you with us? Give her a moment. While we're waiting for Dorothy, were there any questions for Sheila? Oh, here's Dorothy. Hi, Dorothy. Thank you for joining us. We were just getting into your presentation.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I missed a lot. Am I up?
Yes, it's your turn. Just let me know when you're ready for me to go to the next slide.
Thank you so much. I apologize. I was running another amazing meeting, and it lasted too long. So I apologize, everybody. My name is Dorothy Wong, and I am on the Altadena Town Council. And as we go through this street story, I hope you can be inspired by some of the work that's been going on and that just evolved from my passion for a lot of things. So let's roll on. Next slide. So the history of Altadena, land acknowledgement. Of course, the Altadena is, when we think about the history of where we live, work, and play, of course, we cannot not acknowledge the ancestral lands of the Tongva Gabrielino Nation that was here before we start talking about, and still today, love of Altadena. So Altadena is an unincorporated area of Los Angeles County. It runs 8.4 square miles and includes 118 miles of roadway. Next slide. So this is a Google map that represents Altadena. As you can see, we have different things going on, and you'll see in some of the pictures we have that we tend to have a lot of green space. We bookend to the north, the Angeles National Forest, and we're made up of 8 census tracts. We are also bookended by the city of Pasadena, and LA County operates not only public works, as it relates to what we're going to talk about, but also LA County flood control. So it's an exciting place, and we do have some amazing boundaries with Caltrans. So there's a lot to think about here. And Altadena is 14 miles north of downtown Los Angeles. So our watersheds feed the upper Los Angeles River to the west, and the San Gabriel River Rio Hondo system to the east. And the Continental Divide is where that purple and green meet. That's where the water flow changes. Next slide. So when we think about streets, this is what the streets look like before. And really, people moved to California, and they found the foothill communities as a really great place to build ranch homes, and and horses before cars. And then the visionary world in the early 1900s was building transit and railroad up to the top of the mountains and the hotel. The Pacific Electric Railway really then started and grew the cities that we know today in Los Angeles and our freeway systems, which have altered communities significantly. Next slide. So somehow in my world of advocacy, I found the bicycle. Altadena found me, and we found each other through the lovely town council to help make a difference, which has always been part of my soul. So we started a traffic safety and mobility committee, hashtag Safe Streets. And at that time, sort of identifying what road users we have. Again, this was in 2018. Next slide. We meet monthly to discuss issues that are ever evolving. Next slide. Community engagement is really what I do, and for myself in this role in Altadena. And so I just take my passion of community building to the streets. So this sort of mission statement started with the group of residents, people who live, work, and play, who had a passion for safer streets. And if you think about Street Story, there are so many stories to tell. But it really came down to what's happening in this world, needing safe mobility, inclusive mobility, healthier streets, finding safe space for all road users, regardless of mode and ability. And if you look there, everything is about education, informing, collecting data, collaborating. We had no idea what we were doing, but we put this down on paper. Next slide. As we were gathering our thoughts. And then voila, we found a great partnership with work through in 2018. I think we got the community bicycle pedestrian safety training, which we're going to get to. And then we had a visit from our team at Berkeley Safe Trek to teach us about the Street Story tool. So that was really groundbreaking. We didn't have any pictures yet, so we had to use pictures from another city. you know, but we were putting our community together through the town council and different organizations to really start this community engagement. Next slide. So there you go. We started using that street story tool, putting information out there, sharing it as this workshop was happening. And so that was exciting, using that tool for the first time and starting to build some data, qualitative, and learning about data. Like, I don't even think I knew the word data. Next slide. So anyway, we just started all this learning through all of these amazing programs coming together, schools, LA County Public Works, LA County Health, Day One, different community-based organizations. And we kept doing this work of assessing things, measuring what is it that's not right, that's causing these traffic safety issues. Next slide. I have a lot of slides, so I'm not going to talk too much. It's all picture. So then we just kept going after these opportunities, and from our CBBST program and working together, we just kept building community partners. And we got a grant from the Southern California Association of Governments, Go Human, with the library as our key partner. And we had just a fun pop-up bike park and a pop-up park and all kinds of stuff that came down to trying to connect us in the conversation of going human, mobility. So that was our first workshop we did. Next slide. Then COVID hit, and everything just kind of changed. And so I just kind of put this down here, started learning about the different elements of the county, understanding even how Metro plays into it. So really, COVID time really slowed us down and really made us think even deeper about things. At that time, we also got the community complete streets safety assessment, picking some of the streets that we started identifying. So slow street signage is this picture here, where we started applying to say, please put slow street signs down as part of LA County's Vision Zero program. So we started learning. So all of this, next slide, really showed the bicycle master plan. All of these mobility plans were either on hiatus and the slow streets were happening, but we kept going. So then we got this amazing protected walkway during COVID when everyone was walking, and we don't really have sidewalks in a connective way in Altadena. And so this was one of the projects that came up during COVID. We had a community walk, a demonstration, Public Works came out. We got an AARP community grant, Livable Communities, and started taking in feedback, talking to people who are visiting the park, and creating surveys to talk about how awesome this is. Next slide. So all of this led to learning. And this is, you can barely see it, but we have these roads, more families. We're moving into Altadena during COVID. And this street here, has cars going 50 miles an hour between these streets, that there's an upper park and a lower park. So it was really meaningful for us to do this project. Next slide. I'm probably running out of time. You can tell me to stop. But then we were coming out of COVID, and voila, we got the Berkeley Safe Trek, Train the Trainer. Cal Walks came and helped us out, and we were really starting to organize our community over a variety of different topics coming together. We even did a Peace in the Park, social justice, food giveaways. And it all was centered in trying to hear people's stories and tell their stories. So we went through the schools, though that walk audit we did, the schools were starting to come back. And then we went on with the walk to school day, because people were starting to talk to each other. So next slide. So that is now an annual occurrence, and I have amazing videos from this year with 400 students being impacted by Walk to School Day. We were marching down the streets all over Altadena. This is just one school, our starter school. Next slide. We even won awards for this in our local town. The news came out. But what do we do about it? Meanwhile, we've had 2 of our residents, pedestrians, crossing the street and killed in the process. And really because we started talking to people, we got the motions and the mandates, we got Public Works attention, we got in the media for telling the story of how to address traffic safety. So we had a directive from the Board of Supervisors office, Public Works, also saying they would follow through. Next step. Next slide, thanks. And so then this is the first time we started going, well, what are the traffic safety projects going on in Altadena? And so now we're having meetings at our town council with report backs. And so these are just some of the projects that came from our walk audits. Next slide. So it was really great to have Public Works involved, and even repaving, looking at the streets, what are the opportunities, really doing a lot of focus on our schools next and our parks. Next slide. So as you can tell, just by my freneticness, there was just so much going on. How do we harness this energy? Meanwhile, we got another opportunity to do a demonstration project of a bike lane and curb extension to help our community kind of understand through the Go Human Kit of Parts campaign, and also getting community feedback, which really reinforced the need that people want to feel safe walking in our community and biking. So these are all victories. Moving on to the next slide. There you can see just finding ways to get everyone together, the top barriers to walking and biking. Next. So we have had the Street Story tool open the whole time, while we've also been using other parts of the TIMS data to do the sort of the radius around the schools. And then I couldn't slow down long enough because all of this was happening. And then I went to the National Bike Summit and they said, Dorothy, can you do a poster? And so that was the first time that we were able to sort of wrap around all the things. The bicycle master plan for the county is being updated for the first time. And our goal was to do the bike bus for 2024. And we thought maybe one school might do it. We ended up getting 7 schools do it. And I haven't had time to put the pictures in, but we had some really great moments with our first bike bus. Next slide. And then you can just see through the Altadena Bicycle Club, LA County Public Health, we had California Public Health come together, and then Department of Social Services. Through the Bicycle Club aspect, we're doing pop-up bike parks and family rides to really hopefully help also shape some of these traffic safety projects and safer access for all road users. Next slide. This all happened like in just these few years. So next slide, we're going to follow up with great work on the Bike to School days. So as you can see, we started with the Street Story tool. We were blessed to have other tools and opportunities from the other agencies as the energy really grew. And so now we're doing a capacity building. How do we take all this and really get the data? Right now we've got all this data, and we're going to try, and the next phase is kind of putting it into this capacity building. And I did have a link here, but what slides do we have? Just for sake of time, we can just maybe just finish the slides. So we're working with the street story. Good news, since we've done all this work, there are a good number of entries for Altadena. So we're able to take a report early on, and now we're working to do more packaging of it, qualitative data and crash data to, we're learning how to do the reports. I think we're finishing up with the next slide. Yeah, so you can see our data. We're able to get some reports already. And so now we're in summer, we're doing this engagement work, and we're already getting ready for Walk and Roll to School in October and Bike to School in May. Hopefully getting all of this to also align with long range planning efforts, mobility. Next slide. And we cannot forget where we started. Last slide. Oh, that's it. Safe routes to schools and parks for the win. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you both, Sheila and Dorothy, for these wonderful presentations with just so much insight into what you're doing, the work that you're doing in your communities. Now it's time for discussion and questions for our participants. If you have any questions for our panelists, you can type it in the chat, and we'll have one of our team members to acknowledge you, or you can unmute yourself and turn on your video as well to ask your question. And I'll also say we do have extra time. So Dorothy or Sheila, if you wanted to give us a little more background information. I know you mentioned the link about capacity building. If you wanted to share that, I think we have some time to show the link, and if you wanted to expand more about that. So.
Yeah, I would like to just expand a little more about some of these communities that we were able to engage. Early Mart, Cutler, Rosie, and Strathmore, for example. These are just very rural communities, heavy agriculture-based economies, and most of them have very low car ownership or one car ownership. So these communities, every single comment that they said using Street Story was really valuable in these grant applications, because the community really took the time out, and some of them were also in Spanish, and those were also included too. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
There's a question in the comments or in the chat.
Thank you, Aurelie. We have a question from Marianne Hernandez. The question was, how much time did it take to train your staff and community members on using Street Story? And the follow-up to that was the training for Street Story given in Spanish?
Okay, I can take a stab at this question. For the city of Exeter, we did a webinar, an online Zoom session with the superintendent and also the city planners there, just showing them how the tool worked. We actually invited Safe Trek to come and do a training as well. And we didn't use, there's also a Spanish version too, but specifically the training was for the superintendent and the city planner of Exeter, and the elected officials, just getting all on using the tool. Everybody took it just to feel comfortable before it got blasted to hundreds of parents during their back to school night. So it was an online training we did.
Thank you.
Yeah, I felt like,
go ahead.
Sorry. Oh no, I was going to say, that is definitely part of the, how you reach people so that you're getting everyone's input. And so, that's always a challenge, but for us, doing the events at the parks, you do get a lot of different people that are coming to the parks. And we have LA County Parks has a program called Parks After Dark. And Altadena really serves a lot of other communities too. But I think that's still a challenge to get, more people coming on the walk audits, because the walk audits through the school also helps us really get more voices, going through the schools, as Sheila just talked about. But yeah, so that's why we're just hitting all the parks in the different areas, and just being part of community events, not necessarily this is our event, just going, hey, this would be a great opportunity, and using just, for me, the tool of bicycling, which some people go, Dorothy only talks about bikes, but it's an amazing tool to bring community together, So that's hard to argue there. And it's helpful just seeing everybody come together. And they're not just coming together to give input about, what is the data, right? They're giving their input on how they feel when they're going to different places. But we would like to work on that more too, because we do have a strong Spanish-speaking community in Altadena that doesn't always come to the community meetings.
Thank you for sharing. And thank you, Marianne, for that question. When we reach out to our community partners and partner organizations and agencies, excuse me, we do, offer trainings in English and Spanish, and we do have all of our resources available in English and Spanish. We have tutorial videos that can be shared with community members, starter guides, fact sheets. And so I'll share those resources with all of the registrants as well, with the link to the recording of today's webinar. But thank you for that question. We have something else from Lisa Peterson, who is our communication lead at Safe Trek. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us today. She says, Sheila and Dorothy, I'd love to hear from you both what you think is most important or what worked for you to maintain momentum and engagement with Street Story.
You want to go first?
Sure. Or actually, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, just the momentum has grown because we keep doing the work, because it's community-driven work too, right? So there's so much that people want to talk about. Like today, that's another reason I was a little late. I was picking up something and I was driving home and there was a car smashed into a tree. So I went to stop to ask, what happened. And, and then it was about visibility and infrastructure and speed, which is a common issue. I'm sorry, I have my walk and rollers background. That's where I was last. So I do a lot of work with the youth in Southern California. But anyway, so tomorrow we're doing another walk audit to grow. So when we see the traffic safety mapping and the road reconditioning, because we don't have strong policies for complete streets in LA County unincorporated, there are streets like this road Lincoln where the car crashed that has a lot of crashes, but has been identified in Measure M, which is our tax money for Metro. And they've identified Lincoln as this corridor. So I think our momentum builds by being aware of everything and listening to everybody's stories. And sadly, when we have, we've had 4 fatalities in 14 months in Altadena, and and that's 400% higher, traffic fatalities that we've had. So I think that's a large number for our community anyway. So sadly, that drives us to keep wanting to make it better and not to sit back and go, oh, that person died. So I do it for, that keeps me going, and it keeps others going because they love telling their story. And a lot of times, it has tragedy to it, which is driving force, but it also brings people together because they want to share about their community. So the tools we have with Berkeley Safe Trek and Street Story tool is a great way to, get people sharing their thoughts at different times and not just when there's a public meeting, right?
Thank you, Dorothy. Sheila, did you have anything else to add or to answer the question?
Yeah, just to add, it really takes a concerted effort of multiple people and very passionate people, just like Dorothy, and community partners to keep the momentum going. And, each life is very valuable, as with the Vision Zero sentiment. Here at TCAG, most of the planners and the staff here are really motivated by seeing, how many projects can we get built, and measuring our success by what type of roads can we transform. So we really try to streamline finances and the monies that are needed to see what we can do to expedite this process, because we don't want to wait 10s and 20s of years, for new crosswalks to come and new sidewalks. So that's really our motivation here at TCAG, is to see how many projects we can get built.
Thank you. Thank you both. I have a question. I know you two both come from different perspectives. Sheila, you being a planner, Dorothy, you being a council member, but also an advocate. I'm wondering, what are some of like the strategies or tactics that participants can take away from today that you use to engage decision makers? Is it just sending an email, or is it, showing up at their offices or making phone calls? Like, what are some of the ways that how have you engaged those decision makers in saying, look, this is what Street Story is. We've already collected some data, or we would like to collect some data. And this is why you should be interested in using this, for us to use this tool to get that community input and feedback.
For me, I think the best work is when I'm not doing the work, because the community is empowered, and there are other council members. We're divided into 8 census tracts. So I think building momentum around the community, and then we have a point person at Public Works. We have different types of point people for different things. And so just because I've been on the town council for 7 years, I've learned a lot. And again, a lot of it came from the different tools that UC Berkeley Safe Trek has. And then again, as we come, not full circle, but as we continue the journey, how do we keep getting more of people's voices heard? And because community at the end of the day is such a strong word, but it's really what builds the change, right? So when I see the Metro project, let's do the walk audit and see how we can make it safer for the fire department to come, to get safely in and out of their station, or, all the things you discover on these walk audits. So having then the tools by, oh, look, we've done this, and we can come back to this data, these sources, really drives as all this change continues to happen. And, you know, I get told sometimes that Dorothy Altadena won't get any grants because we don't fit the, we don't fit the makeup to, and to me, that's a capacity issue. If the County of Los Angeles, right, there's 88 cities, and then we have 150 unincorporated areas or something like that. So I think every time I hear what's happening now, I think about how important community-based organizations are. And in Altadena, the town council is kind of a community-based organization because we're ever evolving and we don't make financial decisions, but we can work to. Altadena is strong when communities come together, and that's, I think, a gift of community. So I think the tools you have, the tools of the government, the money that's moving around, how do you take that energy, comes down to continuing the conversations, and the data is really important. All the data.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Right, because then the more voices uplifts to our leaders, and then they can find a way to find that funding, right? So the more, if it's not the same squeaky wheel, and we move all the wheels in the same direction, right? Who can argue about people dying, or who can argue why the children are getting struck in the intersection, right? Trying to go to school. And then the short story was today, I saw the Metro guy, and he was red curbing all the faded away bus stop. So that was amazing. And a lot of that came from the walk audits that we did and bringing the voices together. And then they're going to do the entire street now. So communication, I guess, right? It's so important in all of this, and problem solving.
Thank you. Sheila, did you have anything to add or want to talk about any tactics or strategies you have for engaging decision makers?
Yes. For us, the Active Transportation Advisory Committee, ATAC, was instrumental in disseminating information about Street Story. We have a variety of people on that committee, from community advocates to city engineers and elected officials. And we invited Jara to come and do a presentation a year or so ago, and that kind of first introduced all of the agencies here to Street Story. And again, having that multidisciplinary group of people and community coming together was very instrumental in getting that out. And so we need more communities like this, and committees, and community groups, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we have a comment as well, or question in the chat from Aura Gonzalez. I would also like to know what advocacy communication strategies can be used to engage with the community and ensure that elected officials hear their demands as well as amplify their voices. And I think Dorothy spoke a little bit about that, but could you speak more to like advocacy communication strategies?
Sure, quickly. First, I echo what Sheila said, that all of these tools did bring the departments together, like not just community and the library, which is kind of a key component of our community. So I think that is definitely key, is bringing everybody together. And then strategies. So again, it's really fun. Like, I'm an event organizer too. And so taking the skills of just, hey, this is going on. What about having this happen too? Or someone else has an event and they're like, so it's almost like constantly Advocacy can come from just having a community conversation and then just growing it, like the Altadena Bicycle Club, is a growing tool now in Altadena, even though it's not a 300 club, it's a tool, and it's a tool now that we're using to bring more community together to do the pop-up bike parks, for example, and and empowering the young people. So to me, schools is still so huge in this game of traffic safety, which I think most people know already. But then we don't have funding in our community for safe routes to schools. So safe routes to schools is a great way to also community build with the different organizations. So for me, it's just, hey, there's this event going on, and it's almost like networking. And then coming together. So for Juneteenth, we had like 70 different events, and we did the victory lap, and that brought together an organization, which isn't a huge organization, but working to empower young people. And then we had another one that empowers young people through art, right? So that was another organizer. Then we had Pasadena come in, and Altadena, through bicycling and complete streets. So I think it just builds momentum. Like, start just putting yourself out there, and and on an idea or a concept, and then it's amazing the vibe when it's not just one group putting on an event, but everybody. But you have your mission, whatever it is, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy. Do we have any more questions or comments from our participants? Okay, any final thoughts from our panelists? Anything you want to leave us with moving forward to empower and encourage us in the work we do in traffic safety?
Go, Sheila.
Yeah, I think my takeaway is it really takes a multidisciplinary effort from community advocates to people in the government like me and elected officials to be on the same page, and having these kinds of committees and spaces. It may sound cheesy to bring everyone together, but it really is the foundation building blocks. And I just hope more of that, keeps happening and going on. So
thank you, Sheila.
Yeah, so I'm leaving everybody with, again, I'm so sad that I missed Sheila's presentation. But I totally agree. I see most change happen when it comes from the heart of the people, and then the more people having that conversation, the more people learn, and having the tools like Street Story to be able to then get it into a report, so that there is this lasting like data is lasting, right? Qualitative data, quantitative data, and measuring things, but it's also the opportunity to bring the community together. And elected officials aren't just sitting there too. They want to make a difference, but they need help because they can't do everything, right? And that's where the community and everybody comes together. So thanks for listening, and onward.
Thank you all so much. Again, we'll share the recording with you all from today, along with some resources, Street Store resources, TIM resources. This webinar was funded by the California Office of Traffic Safety, And we thank you all for joining us. Thank you again to our panelists for your wonderful presentations, and for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us about the work that you're doing in your communities. We really appreciate it. And thank you to our participants for joining and for asking questions and being engaged with us. Hope you have the rest of good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye, Jara.
Bye-bye.